Have you ever looked at a top pro player placing second in tournaments, first, third, first again, and so on, and even placing consistently game to game in those tournaments? And then thought to yourself, how in the world do they even do it? Because for you might place actually pretty good every now and then, but most of the time place terribly. And you quite literally might win a game or two at the start of a tournament and then just flop the rest of your games. Almost like your skill is actually fluctuating. I understand the frustration, bro. I've personally been there too, until I found the fix. So if you didn't know already, I quit Fortnite competitive about 2 years ago to pursue YouTube full time after peaking at over 90,000 PR. And I remember this one season of trios that I had which I was insanely consistent in, Chapter 2 Season 7. We would place around top 10 in every single qualifying round of FNCS, and in each tournament our match history was insanely consistent too, making deep endgame every single time. And after pondering over that time in my career, I finally came to the conclusion of why I was so consistent. And there is so much for you to learn here, bro, so listen up. So the first thing I realized about this time was my real life habits. I was homeschooled around this time, so generally my life day to day was very similar. In terms of being able to consistently get good sleep, I honestly didn't have heaps of friends, and I had just recently got out of a breakup, so I wasn't interested in getting into another relationship anytime soon. So what I'm trying to say is that drama was like at an all-time low. I also had normal eating habits, nothing crazy. Just overall, what I'm trying to get at here is that my life was just very consistent outside of Fortnite and it didn't affect my mental and make it waver. Other people might have a lot of friends and a lot of problems with relationships that can make them happy one day and then sad and upset the next day, which leads to inconsistent performances. Other people would also get inconsistent sleep, sometimes needing to stay up really late all of a sudden so they can work on something like homework, etc. And then sometimes needing to wake up real early all of a sudden too for work or school, etc. They could also have really inconsistent eating habits, sometimes eating really healthy and then other times eating terribly. So yeah, I want you to focus on keeping your real life habits as consistent as possible. Just have a small circle of good friends that don't enjoy much drama. Keep your sleep habits as consistent as possible, and keep your eating habits also as consistent as possible. How you mentally feel heavily influences how you perform, so keep yourself mentally consistent with consistent good real life habits. Now the next stuff I did personally was in-game based. First of all, I had the same trio for the entire season. Swapping teammates often leads to inconsistency in placements. Because every single time you swap teammates, you reset back to square one and now you have to learn how to play well together again and set up new strategies, etc. In that season, I also landed the same drop spot the entire season for the same reasons. But the most important thing I did back then for my consistency was the game plan. Over a long time of practice, mostly with my trio, I started to develop a general game plan that we could follow almost every single game. We would land Cassie and do our set loot paths if we were uncon, but if we were conned by just one team, we would land the most loot dense place and then finish the fight quick. Or if there was more than one team contesting us, we would just land the less loot dense place and then key over to them as they drew near the end of their fight. Then after looting, we would take a car and then rotate around to dead side of first zone, but somewhat deep in. Then we would do the exact same thing for second zone, until third zone popped and we would instantly hook it into the very center of third zone, which would guarantee us edge fourth zone. We would stay until we rotated into half zone, usually with the car that we still had. Then in the first couple moving zones, we would just focus on all staying alive and saving as much mats as possible. Like making the most out of our rotation items, maybe using dead side or maybe staggering until zone could get ahead and we could rotate on foot, etc. Then we would look to claim low ground in the last couple of moving zones to end out the game. Yes, we couldn't follow this exact plan every single time, but it was a general plan that we could try to follow. And because we had practiced it for hundreds of times, we knew how to substitute certain parts of it when needed. This plan made us super consistent compared to all the other teams who were just winging it every single time, trying new strategies, playstyles, etc, etc. So I advise you heavily, bro, over time, create a rough general game plan to follow. But at the end of the day, even if you follow all of these tips, you will never be perfectly consistent. This is because in one Fortnite tournament, you can literally just come across a lot more situations than usual that you know how to deal with, so you place good. But then you could just play the same tournament 1 week later where you come across a bunch more situations than usual that you don't really know how to deal with that well, so you place worse than usual. This is just the nature of Fortnite competitive, so remember that your goal is to just only improve your consistency. You made it through this whole video, so there's something I'm sure you'd be interested in, bro. My free email newsletter where I post heaps of unique advice and tips and tricks you don't see in my YouTube videos, so join for free using the link in the description of this video.